guys. It's been a little minute since I've talked to you guys. How are y'all doing today? How's everything going? So, today I want to talk to you guys about mm, um hmm mm, 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 mm. Probably self self confidence, self love. Let me adjust a little more for this. I'm gonna try as best I can. The flare. The flare is something. Woo. Okay. But no, seriously. So, I see a lot. There we go. Better. Much better. Okay. So, I see a lot of videos on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, every social media platform that you could just about think of, revolving around self self love, self care, and just loving yourself. So I wanted to take the time to tell my own little self love story. So first off, I have rolls, fluff puffs, muffin tops, everything you could think of. And I'm perfectly okay with it. But I wasn't always okay with it. Um, Growing up, I used to stay getting teased a lot about my looks, about how I talked, how I dressed, how I thought, everything under the sun. And over time, that tends to mess with your mental a little bit. It tends to mess with your psyche. So, growing up, I wasn't always the most confident person. I actually used to talk down on myself. I got so used to people teasing me about these things that I used to talk down on myself and kind of like beat people to the punch. I would refer to myself as stupid, refer to myself as dumb, refer to myself as fat, just so it wouldn't feel half as bad when other people did it. And not realizing I was doing more harm to myself and my confidence as opposed to trying to better myself. And it didn't help none that I had family members that would always try and point out that I was the chunky one, that, chunky, you stay living in the fridge, you stay. So over time, I began to build up I don't want to call it an eating disorder, an emotional eater. That's the word. Emotional eater. So as I was growing up, I would eat when I was sad. I would eat when I was upset. I would eat when I was depressed. I would eat for just about any emotion that I had. And of course, naturally, you start to gain more weight. So that, on top of dealing with family life and my mom's sickness that she had during the time, it wasn't helping none. And kids could be really mean. Kids could be really cruel. So going to school and then having kids tease you, talking about how you looked and everything else, it wasn't the best. My school life, my school saga was not great. It was not great. How most people say that they have fun memories from school, I can't really say that. I can't really say that. Like, from kindergarten maybe to like ninth grade, it's probably the worst time in my life as an adolescent. It's probably the worst time for me. There were days that I contemplated running away. There were days that I contemplated killing myself. I really did have a lot of dark days growing up due to my body image and what I thought about myself, and just things in life at the time that just weren't going great for me and my family. They just weren't. So time progresses, and then I get to high school, and that was a really depressing time for me as well, because then hits the puberty. So then hits, you know, you're starting to try and figure yourself out. You don't know where you fit in. You don't know the crowd you want to be a part of. You think you want to belong to this crowd, that crowd. Excuse my dog in the back. Excuse him. But you think you want to belong to this crowd, that crowd. You start hanging with the wrong people, or start, just a bunch of dumb stuff. So the one thing about me that I can say is that I never fell for peer pressure. No matter how depressed I was, I never fell for the peer pressure or caved into the high school the social scene and stuff like that. But you still have this underlying feeling of wanting to feel accepted and wanting to feel appreciated. Still, even though you didn't do this and do that, I mean, most of us adults know how it was in school. It was a mess. But in saying that, it was one insecurity traded for another. So now it became a thing of, okay, I'm not fat, but nobody's noticing me for the right things. So then it turned into an insecurity of how my body looked versus how big I was. So now it was like, okay, nobody's really paying attention to me because I'm smart. Nobody's really paying attention to me because I'm funny or I'm chill. They're just noticing the assets. Oh, she has big boobs. Oh, she has a big butt. Oh, she's got wide hips. Like, oh, she's got thick lips. Like, okay, I do. But did you hear anything that came out of my mouth? Like, did you hear anything that I said to you? So that insecurity took me a long time to try and break out of, I would say, because, and to this day, I still deal with that, to this day even. But I will say that just because you have these attributes, they don't define you as a person. Because for a while, I started to define myself solely based on how my body looked. I did. And I started hanging with the wrong people. I started associating myself with the wrong type of guys and only wanting to be around this certain crowd and this, that, and the third, thinking that if I did this, maybe people will like me more. If I did that, maybe people will like me more. And that wholeheartedly, truthfully, I'm not going to say dumb. It's not a good thing to do. It's not a good thing to do. So, all of it sounds jumbled, this whole thing. I know it does. And I'm probably going to do a part 2 to this. But from adolescent to young adult to now we're jumping to adulthood. So, entering into adulthood, the light bulb was starting to flicker. You know how our parents say when you get older that light bulb should come on? It wasn't on, but it was flickering. So it was trying. So coming into adulthood, I finally got to realizing that I was a lot more than just this. I was a lot more than just the assets that I have. So I finally started using the common sense that my mother prayed that I had. So, finally started using it. And in doing so, I came across certain people that tried to get me to, I don't know, revert back to the old ways. Like, I don't know. It's just, it confuses me. It befuddles me how people say that they, let me not say that. Let me switch the words around. It amazes me how society wants to talk about consciousness and mental health and this, that, and the third, but they won't do the things that they're telling you that you need to do to have this, you know, they don't do it. I'm telling you that I have these things about me, and you're kind of you're trying to get me to do actions and motives that would revert me back to that state. It's like a narcissistic jump. I know what I'm trying to say. It sounds really jumbled up and befuddled, but I promise I know what I'm trying to say. So I, as an adult, finally started to get comfortable with myself. But I wasn't all the way fully comfortable with myself. I used to refer to myself and my group of friends, I used to refer to myself as the ugly one, the ugly duckling, the fat one. Like, all of my friends are really pretty, and all of my male friends are really handsome. So I have a really beautiful, eclectic group of friends, but I never felt like I was the attractive one in the bunch. I never felt like I was attractive. Still stemming from mental trauma from adolescent, young adulthood. So I never felt like I was attractive. So I would always refer to myself as, oh, the fat one, oh, the ugly one. Oh, they're paying attention to you. They're not paying attention to me. The only time anybody approaches me is if they're trying to get to you. So nobody's even looking my way. Nobody's even thinking about me. Yada, yada, yada. You know the whole bit. So it was one particular day, and I don't remember what I was doing. And I just happened to walk past the mirror. I walked past the mirror, and I just stood there for maybe like 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, and I just cried. I just cried, looking at myself. I was like, why are you so unhappy with yourself? What is it about you? Why are you so unhappy? Why do you look at yourself and think of yourself as this? Why do you look at yourself and think of yourself as that? There are really great attributes about you. Why do you talk so down on yourself? Why do you do this to yourself? And when I tell you guys, I cried for maybe about 10, 20 minutes. I know that sounds short, but for me, it felt like an eternity. It did. I cried for a very long time. That 20 minutes seemed like forever. So I kind of got into this, I don't know what to call it. Like, I don't know what to call it. I had this moment, I cried. I couldn't answer my own question. I couldn't answer my own question. And that in itself was very, and I mean very, very shocking and sad and depressing in itself. I allowed all of this trauma to go on for so long that I couldn't even answer my own question as to why I wasn't happy. I blocked it off in my subconscious. Somewhere in my mental, I blocked it off, and I couldn't even answer my question why I wasn't happy with myself. I couldn't. That took a lot of prayer and a lot of talking to God and a lot of just deep moments to myself, trying to figure out what in the world was going on with me. Because I was happy. I thought I was happy with myself. I thought I was okay with myself. People's words didn't affect me. People's sayings didn't affect me. It was like a hot knife through butter. Like, it just went right through me. Like, I couldn't figure out if it was a defense mechanism that it rolled off of me, or if I was really just starting to, you know, really just starting to come out of it. I couldn't tell the difference. I could not tell the difference. But when I finally did figure it out, that it's a very interesting circle of events that finally got me to this place of being comfortable in my skin and in my body. A very weird, eclectic circle of events, but nonetheless. But that's going to be a part 2 to my mental health journey and learning to love myself. So make sure you guys leave some comments, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Always remember, birds fly high for a reason. So all of you guys, tweet. Love you guys. Bye.